Hello, Defense Attorney Mark Rosenfeld here. One of the common questions I get is, what are the defenses to my DUI case? If someone is stopped and arrested for driving under the influence and they're charged by the prosecutor, either a district attorney or a city attorney, they end up facing these charges and they want to know what is the best defense. And the answer is, it depends. I would break down DUI defenses into three typical different categories. One of the questions is, what are the legal defenses? What laws are in effect that we can use to our advantage? Another would be factual defenses, what actually happened out on the road. And a third type of defense would be a scientific defense. So first, legal defenses. And every case is going to be different, so I can't say in a particular case what the best defense is going to be. But one of the things we'll look at first are legal defenses. And that starts from where the contact with law enforcement started. What reason did the police have to come into contact? Was there any legal justification for the stop? Did the officer have probable cause to believe that there was a reason to stop, that a crime was being committed? And then after the probable cause, as the contact goes on, as the encounter goes on, the police officers are going to need more proof to make a legal or lawful arrest. In order to make the lawful arrest, they have to have probable cause to believe that the person committed the crime, driving under the influence. And then ultimately, when we get to court, the prosecutor has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. But for the legal defenses, many times we're focusing on the reason for the stop and the detention, keeping you there, and maybe a prolonged detention, how long they kept you there. And then we can also look at what type of testing was done and whether there were any legal rights that were violated, which could be Miranda, could be the type of chemical test that was done was in violation of the law. So we have to look at those legal issues. Next, the next category I would want to look at is factual issues. What actually happened factually that may be a defense to the case? In a driving under the influence case, that may be a situation where the person was not observed driving, that they didn't actually see the driving. It could be a no-drive defense. It could be a time of driving issue. It could be the performance of the field sobriety test, the driving itself. These are all factual issues that need to be analyzed that could be a very valuable defense in a case. And lastly, in a DUI case, we would want to look at the scientific evidence. We would want to look at what is typically called the chemical testing. Chemical testing could be breath, blood, sometimes urine, and we want to look at the scientific basis for this testing. How was it done? Where was it done? Who did it? And we need to follow through the entire chain of events. So if it's a breath testing case, we need to see whether the officer was scientifically trained to use the equipment, whether the equipment was properly maintained, whether the equipment was used correctly, whether the result was in compliance with the California Code of Regulations, and is the chemical test, breath test, trustworthy and reliable. Those are all things that need to be looked at to find possible defenses. Same thing with a blood or a urine test. From the very beginning, you know, who drew the blood, where did they draw it from, what was the environment that they drew the blood, who took the blood sample, what did they do with it, all the way through the chain. How was it transported, how was it stored, how was it taken out and prepared for analysis, who analyzed it, when did they analyze it, how did they analyze it, is there any evidence of contamination, and is the number that's ultimately obtained by the crime lab or other lab that's testing an accurate, trustworthy number. So if somebody comes and asks, which is a common question, what's the best defense in my DUI case? The answer is, it depends. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that need to be looked into and analyzed to find out what the best defense is. And in the beginning of the case, we're not going to pick one defense normally. We're going to look and do our homework to find out what defenses there are and pick 1, 2, 3 main defenses to go forward in negotiating a case or possibly taking it to trial. If you've got questions about how to defend your case, in Southern California, in Los Angeles, give me a call. You can reach me directly at 310-424-3145. Once again, this is Attorney Mark Rosenfeld, and you can reach me at 310-424-3145. Be safe.